Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Atlanta Startup Podcast. My name is William Leonard, and I'm your host and investor here at Valor Ventures, a leading seed stage venture capital firm headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. And today I am really excited to sit down with Ashley Daramola, founder and CEO of ArtzyBella. Ashley, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, William. I appreciate it.
Awesome. I think this is a great episode to kick off the year. And for those of you who don't know, Ashley was Valor's 2021 Art of Inclusion artist. And we'll kind of dive into what that means a little bit later in the podcast. But Ashley, I would love for you to start off by kind of telling our listeners what ArtzyBella is, and then maybe a little bit into the story about how you came to start ArtzyBella, because I personally know your story is amazing, but our listeners would love to have that context.
Okay. All right. So ArtzyBella is a company I started back in 2017. We were originally an art studio that did paint parties and art classes for people all around the state of Georgia. And then in 2019, we got an opportunity to participate in Georgia State's Main Street cohort. And they gave us a grant through partnership with Bernie Marcus Foundation. And so we actually developed a new product for our company. We developed a subscription box. And the goal was to teach people how to use art therapeutically. We noticed from all of our customers that they kept coming back and having more paint parties, but they kept saying that it was because of how the process was making them feel. And when I started the company, I always wanted to figure out how to create a solution using art therapy, which is a discipline that I'm working towards licensure in and that I have a lot of passion about. But the grant allowed us to actually monetize, turn it into a monetizable product that we could not only make money with, but help a lot of people with. And so we started with just a subscription box, but we realized that our customers still wanted that interaction, that guidance that we provided. So what we did was develop an online platform where people can do 24 hours a day. They can engage in art making with wellness coaches, art therapists, and art instructors who are passionate about mental health and wellness. And so where I started, I worked in so I was always an artist, but it was not celebrated as something you could make a career in. Growing up, I actually tried to avoid going to college. I tried to not apply. And one of my classmates told on me, and my art teacher called my mom and said, "Hey, she's not going to a school." So we enrolled in Georgia State, which was one of the best decisions I ever made. But I ended up dropping out of college because I just wanted to be an artist and it wasn't really supported. And I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I dropped out of school so that I could figure out what else could I do if the things that I wanted to do and being a business owner or being an artist weren't viable. Then I started working in mental health because I had a big burden and passion for people, specifically in the Black community where I'm from in South Atlanta. Wanted to really get involved in community work. So I worked as a social worker with the state of Georgia. I worked with several nonprofits, and most of the work I did was I was like a mental health support or a behavioral support person that helped therapists with treatment plans with individuals who were dealing with a lot of drug addiction or trauma and just helping them to recover and improve their lives. And then I did a lot of work with sex trafficking survivors. I did that for about 6 years as a coach, a mentor, a counselor, and a social worker. And so working with survivors, a lot of them had a lot of trauma, a lot of diagnosed mental illness, a lot of drug addiction. And so traditional forms of therapy and prayer and all those go-to things we know to do with people who are in crisis just weren't working. And I remember how in my own personal life, how art in a lot of ways saved me with the things that I had to deal with. And so we tried it and it worked. It was one of the only things that was able to give them a healthy distraction or a way to express how they were feeling, And so the women that I worked with told me I was wasting my talent and that what I was doing with them, a lot of other people could benefit from. So they encouraged me not to give up on it. And so I quit my job in 2016. And with my last $50, I started ArtzyBella, and here we are.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point that we always hear is that you quit your job and you took your last $50 to start
Yes.
ArtzyBella by buying the initial supplies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is just such a risk and such a bet. You left a seemingly stable career in the
Yeah.
mental health field, right? And
Hmm.
you really went to the unknown of
Yeah.
being a full-time artist. What kind of went behind that decision a bit? Obviously, it was passion, but
Yeah.
how did you kind of tactically think about, well, like, what if this doesn't work out for me?
Well, I think that what I realize is I'm really good at operating under pressure, right? I think where I'm from, the environment I come from, a lot of the people, that was just kind of something there was always a lot of challenges and a lot of fires we were always putting out. And I realized that under pressure, I do really well. But I also just having dabbled in business here and there and followed and been mentored by a lot of entrepreneurs, I knew that on the other side of really big risk comes really big reward. And so I just put myself in a position where I'm just going to jump off this cliff and hope God catches me. And along the way, I'm going to put myself in a position where I don't have a plan B. There's no backup plan. So this has to work. So I put a pressure on myself where like, you gotta figure this out because everybody thinks you're crazy at this
Oh my
point.
gosh. I mean, isn't that the story of most entrepreneurs? You're kind of doubted, maybe looked down
Yeah.
upon, and you have to be resilient. And I think that
Oh
speaks
my
to your
goodness, yes.
character.
I
Yeah.
think that, I had someone tell me that, you're doing all this community work and it's great, but you're broke. You're barely taking care of yourself. And, I was coming up with all these great ideas in the organizations I work with, but then, you have people take your ideas and you don't get credit for it. I went and got a master's degree to make more money in the field, and then they didn't pay me more money. And I just realized that I was allowing someone else to control my quality of life and to determine how much I was worth every year. And so the other thing that happened was that I realized that, like, I don't want to get to the end of my life. And in those last moments, I'm looking back and regretting that there were things I didn't try because of something so trivial as fear.
Mhm.
Right. And so, because at that time, you can't go back and undo it. Right. So I just said that, I don't want to live in any regret. I want to give it a shot. And why not? If it doesn't work, at least I can say that I tried.
Yeah, why not? You
Turns
go
out
out
it worked
there.
out.
Exactly. And I'm curious to hear, like, so you started ArtzyBella in 2017, right?
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
what were those first like 2 or 3 years like of kind of getting everything off the ground? And I kind of want to pivot after you
Hmm.
answer that to the topic of brand building, because
Hmm.
when you look at you now, your brand is everything. Your brand is everywhere. It's so prominent. It's the first
Thank
thing you
you.
see when you
Yeah.
Google your name, right? And so
Yeah.
I kind of want to hear how the early infancy stages of building ArtzyBella went, and then how you kind of scaled your brand to where it is today.
So I remember I wanted to start the company at least 2 or 3 years before I actually did it. But those first few years, I was really scared. I was like, I can't do this. This is silly. Like I can't start this business. I have no money, no resources. I don't have a blueprint. This would totally be crazy. But I remember someone saying, just start by coming up with a name. So I just remember writing down all these different names. And then I thought about, why don't I just think about something that reminds me of me? I love beautiful. For me, when I think of the word beauty and I think of beautiful things, it's not so much just what's very literal to us, but I think that people's story, the way we experience each other, love, our own interpretation of the things we feel, that is beautiful. Our attempt to turn that into something that we can share with other people is beautiful. And so that kind of came into how I came up with the name. And then I thought about things that represented me and how I view art. So I took a butterfly, right, that represents transformation and freedom, which is what I felt that not only I experienced in my personal life, but that the women that I was serving and working with that's what they were coming to us for, was to transform themselves. And then I also put a ladybug in my logo, I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember. I could come up with something deep about that ladybug, but I think I just remember it representing just wisdom and good fortune and good luck. And so my first version of my logo was very detailed, looked very artistic. And then the colors I chose were ones that represented what I felt could calm people down. And then the contrast of that, the orange kind of represented what could just ignite energy and inspiration in people. And so I try to think very intricately about every part of the brand. And then what I did is I said, how can I spread the awareness of this brand while start making some money and figuring out how do I scale this? So what I did was we started doing the paint parties because we realized this will make money. But even when one person books a party, they bring 20 people. That's 20 more people that now know about our brand. And if we do a good job, we were usually able to get 2 or 3 more parties out of guests that were in that group. But then it also gave us a chance to do discovery and ask questions because we're with the customers we want to serve. So we're asking them, what kind of art do you like to make? How is this making you feel? How can we improve? What would make you come back again? You know? And so we just did that for 2 years and kept collecting that data and figuring it out and fine tuning the brand over time. So when I did my first party with a big company, that's when my best friend said, okay, Ashley, we need to polish this logo up a little bit. It's a little too detailed. So then I created a more minimal version of my logo, something that I felt would look great on a business card and a billboard. It's something that felt very corporate friendly because I really like the idea to continue working with corporations, but I also wanted a brand that felt very high end and luxury, but still very accessible and affordable to everybody. So those are the things that I thought through, and we changed the colors, like the orange has changed a little bit over time. We've polished different things. The website has evolved over the last few years. And all of that is just based on the response we were getting from our customers.
No, I think that's perfect advice in the sense of kind of being with your customer, getting that immediate real-time feedback while they're there in person, because oftentimes you see, oh, go ahead.
I'm so sorry to cut you. I was going to say, you know, we make this so difficult, right? We create these products and then we start forcing people to buy them. You know, of course, we always start with our family and friends that are like, I need you to support me and buy this, but they may not even be your customer. So now you're forcing a sale, but it doesn't tell you if you really have product market fit yet, right? And so I realized that your customers will tell you exactly what they want. If you build what they want, they're going to spend their money on it, no matter what it is.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, you know, you were getting that real-time feedback. And oftentimes, you know, people will send post-purchase surveys and things like that. And oftentimes they just get thrown to the wayside. So I think that's important as well, getting that real-time, like immediate capture, and also incentivizing, you know, your customers to get that genuine feedback as well is huge.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome, Ashley. And so, you know, do you have any other kind of practical tips that you could provide, maybe another young up and coming artist to essentially build their brand? Is there some things that you think they can take advantage of in this modern digital world today in 2022?
Yeah, I think that the world, I feel like the universe has kind of bended to the will of the creative. Right now, this is our opportunity to do something that we've never been able to do before, which is take control over our careers, our brands, and our narratives, and tell the stories the way we want, but then sell it to whoever. We don't have to wait for a buyer or a dealer to believe in us and want to put our work out. Like the middleman is no longer necessary. And I always attribute that to technology. There are so many startups that I've seen right now who have created platforms, giving artists the ability to sell their work. You know, I think one of the things that I noticed in a lot of artists is that we don't all enjoy the business side of things, you know, but I'm a numbers person. I love math and problem solving. So the business part, like, it's like my sport. I love it so much. But for creatives who just want to be in their creative zone, there's so many platforms and solutions to help you sell your work, monetize and market, that if you don't want to do the business side, there are things that'll do it for you at very reasonable prices. The other thing is this, you know, I know everyone is not on the NFT wave, but if you just kind of like, if you just dive into it a little bit and just start learning what it is and how you can make money on it and spread awareness of your art, it is a great platform. It's a great way for artists to not only make money and build a brand, but the cool thing is you have an opportunity to grow the value of your work and see that value while you're still living. Yep. We don't have to wait 200 years from now to see the value of our work. And so I really think that NFTs is a very exciting thing that I'm even jumping into this year also.
Yeah, I was gonna, you know, obviously I think when we talk about art and ownership and kind of this new wave of really having that end-to-end view and ownership of your own work, NFTs is almost inevitable to talk about. And so,
oh my goodness,
are you kind of taking ArtzyBella in that direction this year? Is that something that you're cooking up, or?
Well, we're, you know, so what I said I would do is start kind of throwing some NFTs out there, as, you know, as an individual artist. And then ArtzyBella is trying to figure out how we want to be present in the digital space, in the metaverse, and, you know, in the virtual reality space, which is something that we want to do within our platform. So yeah, we're definitely talking about how we want to do it. And so much like what we're trying to decide is in a way where it's going to be very pleasing and interesting to our customers. You know, we really want that experience to tailor to them.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys come up with, because
yeah,
you think about the Southeast, and like, you obviously Miami is kind of Web3 NFT, you know, the headquarters for that. But I think Atlanta is really going to insert itself here over the next few months and few years as somewhere where, you know, the world of digital ownership, NFTs, Web3 is going to be present here. And I'd be excited to see you all kind of kick that off. I know there's some groups here in Atlanta. There's one, Black NFT Art, I believe.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
Yeah. So, you know, I think the ecosystem here is young right now, but that's the best time.
That's a great opportunity. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the perfect. You know, I think that when I started Artsy, I did know to look and see, you know, Diddy used to say something. He had this meme years ago where he said that, like, what he has found is that you find all of the solutions that are out there, you find where the holes are. Where are those pockets where people haven't found solutions for things yet? And that's where you start looking for where your niche might be, or where you start thinking about what kind of solutions you could develop. Finding problems that don't have solutions yet in those holes, right? And so I think that right now, because the digital space, because Web3 and NFT is so young here in Atlanta, there's a hole there that needs to be filled. And I think artists have a great opportunity to be at the forefront of it if they were to jump on it now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, I can 100% agree with that. And, you know, I think on this topic of, you know, where you plan on taking the business is interesting. So, you know, where do you see ArtzyBella maybe in 3 to 5 years from now, with this kind of incoming wave of technology and your passion and your drive for scaling this business?
In about 3 to 5 years, hopefully we are on our way to becoming a public billion-dollar company. You know, that's what I would like. And I think that what's going to get us there is our ability to continue to enhance the tech that's in our platform and our app. We have a lot of features we're wanting to implement, including virtual reality, augmented reality, really just taking that ability for people to not only create, but to create and allow it to help them deal with things like real emotions, real feeling, real balance issues that they're having in their wellness, whether it's at work or at home. But being able to do that and experience that right from their devices at home or wherever they are. And so we're really looking forward to seeing how we can scale with the clients we have right now. We're working with a really big healthcare organization. And we just started building a relationship with a really big airline in Atlanta. And so we really see opportunities. There's so many different markets where we could go. We're definitely in some ways doing a slow build. We're not in a rush, but at the same time, we think that our ability to utilize a lot of the latest technology into our solution, and then being able to do that with more corporate teams and individuals is really going to help us scale this company and just present something that's never been done before.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that vision. You know, you were mentioning kind of some of the recent mural projects that you all have worked on. I know Path 400 in Buckhead and the King Center. Talk to us about some of those projects and kind of where did you get some of the inspiration for these individual projects and murals that you made?
So Wellspring Living is a nonprofit that I worked for, where I did work with survivors. I think I worked there about 3 years. I did the overnight shift, which was crazy. I was like a vampire for about 3 years. But during that time, you know, I really got to sit with a lot of survivors. I think over my time, I probably interviewed like 400 or 500 women who have different ways that they enter what we call the life. And so what happened is Wellspring is celebrating their 20th anniversary of working to end sex trafficking. And they decided to do a mural series around Atlanta to celebrate that. The curator, her name is Sierra Flybobo. She contacted one of my close friends, Terrence Lester, who has a nonprofit called Love Beyond Walls here in Atlanta, and told him, hey, I have the perfect artist for this. So she contacted me, and I did the first mural, but then they also had me, I did the first mural at Delta Airlines at their headquarters. So I have a mural that sits in their training facility. And then after that mural, I submitted for the second one in the project, and they ended up selecting my design for the Buckhead Path 400 mural. And then the third one in the series that I've done is the MLK. So I've done 3 murals out of the 6 or 7 that they're planning to do in total. The Delta mural was interesting because Delta is a big advocate in sex trafficking in that issue. And so one of the things they do is they train all of the new hires on what to look for. There's been plenty of stories even in the news where flight attendants have noticed signs and been able to get girls and women out of vulnerable situations because of that training. And so I thought it was the perfect place to put that piece of art. And these murals gave me an opportunity to show one of the styles of art that I have, which is a lot of color, a lot of detail. But my goal is to create things that are very vibrant, that force people to stop and not only look at how pretty and beautiful this is, but it gets you curious about, well, why did she put these colors and these shapes? And why does the person have this facial expression? And it creates conversation and it inspires people to continue to think about the work that we're doing. And so even at the mural I did in Buckhead, I think that's a crowd favorite because it's massive and there's just so much color in it. And I got to put some butterflies in there, which, you know, I'm very passionate about because of the symbolism of transformation. That project was that's probably the hardest, biggest mural I've ever done, the tallest. It was a doozy, but it was great. And then when I got a chance to do the MLK mural, I think that that one might have been the most meaningful just because of the history that the King Center has to me, having grown up in Atlanta. You know, kids from the 80s and 90s, you know, we in school learning about social justice and civil rights and the things that happen in Black communities was something that they drilled into us. And so we were at the King Center all the time for field trips, almost to the point where we were like, we got to go to the King Center again, you know, but to have the opportunity to put art on such a historical building with everything that it means to people all over the world, I think it's still today setting in for me how huge and historic that was. To have the only existing art on that building and to be the first Black female to even put art on their walls, it was an incredible honor. And then to get to meet Dr. Bernice King and talk to her was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think being an artist is just such a rich career to have.
Yeah.
Because you are able to draw from inspiration that you get through life experiences.
Yes.
And you know, I think that instance of where you said, you know, how Delta is so hyper aware and a huge advocate of preventing sex trafficking because of, you know, the presence that they have, and I think that's so interesting. And you know, I really appreciate your effort
Oh,
and
thank you.
your passion for this, because it's very well needed, especially here in the city of Atlanta, where we have such that rich culture, that history, that historical past
Yeah.
here. And so, you know, Valor, we met you through the 2021 Art of Inclusion program, and that's something we really spearheaded back in 2019, and where we formalized this art commission, where we wanted to find innovative, inclusive, diverse artists here in the state of Georgia to really express and bring awareness to their talents and their art. And so we're excited to have you as our third artist. You know, shout out to our two other artists, Nicole from 2019, Nicole Coots from Nashville, and then Brandon Sadler from Atlanta in 2020, and now you in 2021. Talk to us a little bit about, you know, why you decided to apply for this program to be our commissioned artist, and what the process looked like, and what you kind of got out of this program.
I think that when, so two people that I'm involved with in the startup space, Shyla Burney and Brian Zorner from Beyond the Game, they both sent the opportunity to me. And that in and of itself is worth mentioning, because it just shows how close-knit the startup community in Atlanta is becoming, where outside of me being a founder and pitching to investors all the time and, you know, trying to convince them to buy into what we're doing, we've created a ecosystem where we just genuinely support one another. And so when they sent the opportunity to me, I know that if it's coming from them, it's something I definitely should pay attention to. But I think that what those other murals did was it gave me something that I always dreamed of, is how can I use my art almost as a weapon to tell important stories, be a voice for people who don't have one. And so once I was able to do that with the previous murals, I knew that everything I want to do going forward is my opportunity for all of those years that I worked with vulnerable children and parents and women and men. I have a unique opportunity, and even just being from humble beginnings and being from Atlanta, being in the Black community, there's just so many things that I can now have a voice to tell people using art and on a big stage. And so when I learned about Valor, I said, this is another opportunity to do that, especially because the theme is talking about inclusion, which is something that resonates very close and hits home to me. As a Black female founder in Atlanta, you know, the interesting thing is when I started the company, I just, you know, my biggest goal was to have a brick and mortar in my old neighborhood so I could create jobs for artists. I didn't even imagine just how big and massive I could build something, and not just for a bottom line of making money, but to really make impact. And so I love that that's also Valor's mission. And I felt like we have so much synergy between who I am and the kind of artist I want to be and what you all are looking for. And so I was like, I have to apply. They get it. And I always want to align with people who get it.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. And also simply put, you want to be aligned with people who have similar values, similar goals, similar work ethic, similar passion to you. And we're super excited. And we had our holiday party a few weeks ago, and you were showing off your art, and it was just incredible. Everybody was so excited
Oh, it was
to
a good
see it.
night.
Yeah, that was a really fun night. But Ashley, I really appreciate you joining here. Would you recommend that any other artists in the region apply for this program, and what can they get out of it?
I think that the biggest thing about your program is an artist's ability to have the freedom to, you don't always get a lot of opportunities to have creative control, right? When you're trying to build a brand as an artist where you're working full time, you're doing a lot of commissions, people are telling you what to make, and that's exhausting. But I love that this program, you guys just gave me a theme and said, do whatever you want, right? And that is one of the most powerful things you can do for an artist, is give them an opportunity to just be and just create, because they'll be able to tell stories in their own unique way and not be, stuck in a box. That's the biggest thing, is the freedom to be able to create however you see fit. I think the other thing too is that you're working with a community of people, and everybody I talk to, if they aren't artists, they're just very strong appreciators of art. And so they really understand us and what we require. And you can tell that a lot of thought went into packaging the whole process in a way that celebrates the artist in a very professional way, like just from doing the limited edition prints. And the whole process was just very well, intricately done by people who really get the art world. You have a lot of people who do these call for artists, and we're going to have this art, but they don't really get the process and what you're doing. I think that the approach that you guys took definitely helps artists, especially if you're just getting started, to really get a good introduction on what it's like to be a resident artist, and to have a community that celebrates and supports what you need to be able to really thrive and build something beautiful.
That's awesome, Ashley. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's when the most expressive, the most passionate art is created, when a creator like yourself has the freedom to just go out and do exactly what they want to do, have the time, have the support, the resources to just be that true visionary. So we're so appreciative of you, your time, your effort, your art, your talent that you provided with us over the last few months. And I think this has been a really awesome conversation, Ashley. I want to thank you for joining me. You are a brilliant, thoughtful, creative
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I'm confident you're going to truly advance the art ecosystem here in Atlanta, and not only in Atlanta, but I think the region of the Southeast US, and also build a very successful business and platform with ArtzyBella. So, Valor is excited to see you grow and will continuously support you with all your efforts. So we appreciate you, Ashley, and thank you for coming.
Well, thank you. First, let me thank you guys for just giving me the opportunity, and really just, I feel very seen, very heard, very supported and loved. And I make my best work in environments like that. And to just give me an opportunity as a founder to just tell so many people about what we're building, being from Atlanta, I'm living wilder dreams than I even dreamed. And I have the opportunity to build something that can make a really big impact. Like you said, not even just in my hometown, but in the region also, and using art. This was something people told me I never make money doing, and we proved them all wrong.
Exactly.
You guys are helping me do that. And I'm very grateful to the whole team, to John-Luc and Lisa and everybody I've met. So Valor has a phenomenal group of people who are very, very passionate. Like, you know, you hear people say we're about the inclusion, we're about the community and doing the work, but you guys are proving it. And I see that just being around you all, that you mean it and it's genuine. And I think Atlanta and the startup community and especially minority founders are better because you guys are here and and the passion is real and we see it. So thank you to you guys also.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. Have an amazing
You're
day.
welcome. You do the same.
Bye. Hey, everyone. My name is William Leonard, your co-host of the Atlanta Startup Podcast. Today's episode was phenomenal. I sat down with Ashley Daramola, founder and CEO of ArtzyBella. ArtzyBella just launched an online platform and subscription box, teaching people how to use art for mental health and wellness. Ashley is a full-time artist who is also Valor's 2021 Art of Inclusion Artist. And on this episode, you'll hear her discuss how she quit her job and started ArtzyBella with her last $50, the importance of risk-taking and resilience as an entrepreneur and founder, and the impacts of being the 2021 Art of Inclusion Artist for Valor Ventures. I am so confident that everyone can find at least 1 to 2 gems from this energetic conversation with Ashley. Thank you guys and tune in.